Good afternoon, family, and welcome back to Godspeed, where we provide you a weekly market overview for the Lexus LC500 and other Lexus models. This week, we almost see a manifestation of what we spoke about last week in pricing play out right before our very eyes in the market. Our $55,000 option from last week sold. The $61,000 option from last week sold. And a $60,000 50,000 mile white red sport package combo was listed with CarMax this week, and it sold in less than 3 days. In fact, there is only a single option this week that's less than 62,000, which is why it's in my spotlight. With that being said, let's walk through those 3 options that if you're in the market this week, you absolutely want to make sure that you see these. First up is all the way to the left. We've got a 2018 LC500. This one's a sports package. It's got the atomic silver, black Alcantara, and here is one of those interesting combinations to where it's a sports package with a carbon roof on it. It also has a carbon spoiler on the rear too. This one's clean, 2 owners, 64,000 miles, and team, they've got this one coming in at $58,493. A really nice offering, especially if you're considering that this is the only option that is under $61,000 this week. Clean, 2 owner, again, 64,000 miles. And I think it's really interesting. These atomic silvers don't come out as quickly. And the fact that this one's got a darker interior, and I know some of you guys are looking for that darker interior, you get the carbon roof. You don't have the retractable spoiler or the carbon scuff plates that you would get in a performance package, but you absolutely get a very unique and rare sport package option, which is that carbon rooftop. All right, let's go all the way to the left. We've been having a lot of conversations around 18s and 19s, right? And I talked about last week how now my expectation for the 18s is we're going to see them all the way up into the mid 70s, especially for those lower mileage options. And so this week I wanted to call out a 2019, especially this one because it is a performance package. It's the Nightfall Mica, which just want to call out that 2024s no longer will have the Nightfall Mica color. So this is an interesting option for anybody who is wanting to try to pick up one of these colors that's going to end up being a little more rare on the marketplace. This one also has that black Alcantara interior that I know a lot of you are looking for. It's certified, it's clean, it's got a few owners extra than what we normally see. So this one's coming in at 3 owners, but 26,000 miles on this, and the price is $76,121. So at that price point, you're getting about what you would pay unfortunately for a 2018. I think what you got to ask yourself is that if mileage is important to you, then you pay something in this neighborhood of the mid 70s. If mileage is not as important to you, then while you won't be able to pick up a 2019, you could absolutely grab your 2018 with, close miles to these in the mid 60s. Okay. All right. Now in the middle, another year model that we've talked about a bit over the last few episodes is the 2022. And so last week I communicated to you all that my predictions, I feel that we're going to see over the next seasons or weeks, we're going to see the price point of the 2021s to maybe dip into those mid 70s at the lowest. And the highest are going to be in the high 80s. And I said that because I feel like the 22s are going to make room for those, and we're going to see the 22s push into the lower 90 spot. And that's exactly what we're seeing this week. And I wanted to call this vehicle out because there's quite a few 21s, to be honest with you, that are in this competing price point right now. Let's talk about it a little bit. This one's a 2022 performance package. Now, interestingly enough, on the convertibles, we haven't talked about the performance package as much because the reality is that you don't have a carbon top to see and you don't have a retractable spoiler to look at. So a little tip on how you can determine if you're in a sports package or a performance package, because both are going to have these beautiful 21-inch wheels on them. is look at the scuff plates. The carbon fiber scuff plates for a convertible is going to be your visual aha that you're in a performance package. This one absolutely has that. The exterior is caviar, but they have done a tremendous job putting a beautiful wrap, and I think the color is exceptional on this vehicle. It's got that circuit red interior. We've got 25,000 miles on this one, so you know, arguably that could be a little higher miles than we might want to see on a 2022. This one's clean. It's one owner. It's not certified, interestingly enough. Now, if you're looking to purchase this vehicle, I think I would do two things. Number one, we see that it is at Lexus of Woodland Hills. That's in Hollywood. I think we absolutely go in and say, hey, Lexus, you know, I want to see you guys certify this vehicle and give me those 4 years, 20,000 miles worth of service coverage. And, you know, if you don't get any wiggle on the price point, because this is absolutely the lowest 2022 LC on the market, I think you absolutely you're saving yourself at least about $2,000 in just the free maintenances that you'd pick up from a certified vehicle here. Okay. This one has tinted windows. It's got the red calipers, which look amazing on that red interior. And this one also has done a little bit of the black package or the blackout package. So we've got the Lexus emblems. The LC500 has already been blacked out. We've got the front grille that's been blacked out, and there's a little bit of attention to the back, not the chrome exhaust pipes. Those have not been powder coated, but you definitely got some touches of black that have been done on this package to give you that blackout approach. Okay. All right. So listen, family, you probably noticed an increase in the length of time we're spending together on market reviews over the past few weeks. And I know some of our audience will only have about 5 to 10 minutes to partner with us each week. And for you all, we are being intentional to ensure we provide value by bringing some of those best options into our intros. Now, for those of you who have a little more time to spend with us, we're having some great in-depth conversations around factors that will help you to look at how you purchase your LC500, or if you're an owner, will help you to know a little bit more about your vehicle. We spoke about things such as how you should look at mileage on these vehicles, the price trends that we see in front of us, service intervals, and tonight we're going to talk about some of the need-to-know differences between all of the year offerings. So what's the difference between a 2018 and a 2019? Obviously, we know that unless you're talking about an inspiration series or a unique color combo that's offered on the interior or the exterior, or you know, some of those inspirations you get a different design wheel, visually there's not a lot of difference. But we want to talk a little bit about some of those not so obvious differences that you will pick up if you go from an 18 to a 19 to a 20, etc. Okay? All right, family, we've got an amazing episode for you tonight. Let's look at the best options on the market for June 9th. Hit that like button, subscribe. Let's go. All right, family, let's take a look at the Lexus LC500 marketplace for June 9th. Let's go over a little bit of the data first so we kind of understand how it's changed from last week. We have 222 vehicles currently being offered this week. That's 5 fewer than last week's 227 vehicles, okay? We saw two 2021s drop by an average of $1,750 each, and that is $1,500 less than last week. So if you guys were watching last week, we were seeing prices in the $3,000 for what they were dropping. This week we saw a 2018 drop by $3,000. Now that's the reverse. That's about $1,300 more than the average price of drops last week on the 18. So the other piece to mention too is that one that we saw drop by $3,000, it also sold. Okay. So, family, as we navigate the market tonight, let's talk a little bit about some of the differences we expect to see as we purchase one year over the other, okay? So, for the 2018s, obviously, I want to call out this as we go through this, and this is that $54,000 option that we talked about in the intro, right? You can see we've got the nice carbon fiber spoiler there. Obviously, we've got the not performance package, the sports package, but we've got the 21-inch wheels here. You're not going to see a picture of the actual carbon fiber top on this one, family, but when we get on the interior, you will absolutely see that it is you don't have the slide for the glass top. And so that's leading me to be very confident that this is a carbon fiber option. Okay, we got the black interior here, obviously with the Alcantara, so very nice about that. Now let's go ahead and say what's obvious going to be the same between the 18 and all of the other models, and that's the fact that you're not going to really see any visual differences from someone driving a 18 to someone driving a 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, even to the 24 that's coming out, right? There may be a few slight indicators that will help you understand what you're looking at, but for the most part, you're going to see the exact same thing. Okay. So look, guys, here's what I'm talking about the price points. Obviously, the very next offering that we see after we look at this $58,493 option is a $61,700 option, which is, a few less miles, but not that much, right? To where we could be like, oh, wow. Okay. And then here we are, a lot of offerings in the low 60s, right? We creep up to the mid 60s once we start looking at some mileage offerings that are in the 47, 52. Here's a 17,000 mile 19. You don't see me talk a lot about this one because it's a salvage title, so that 64,000 price has taken that into consideration. But here we see again right here in the middle of the stack for the 60s, and we start to creep into the higher mid 60s. Look at these mileages. The lower mileage, the higher we're going to get into that 60 band. Okay, right? We see that carry over to here. We've got 66,000, basically 67,000, and we're in the 30s. We creep up a little bit. We get lower into the 30s. We got some certified options here, obviously. I still like this option. We talked a little bit about it a couple weeks ago. You're coming in at 67,000, just a few dollars rather shy of 68,000. You got that under 30,000 mile, and you got a certified vehicle from the Lexus dealership out there. Won't go into that vehicle, but want to call it out because I think it's still a very strong offering. We're starting to see a few private owner options on the market. Here's a good example of that. This is a darker option here. It's got 34,000 miles, coming in at $68,196. This is a obsidian black. I'm sorry, not obsidian black, but the caviar black. Let's see, clean. Whew, 5 previous owners. That might be one of the highest ownerships that I've seen on the Lexus LC500. But 68,196 for that offering there. We got the tinted windows, obviously, and that looks to be a sports package. Okay. So look, guys, as we get down into those absolute lowest of lows, so 20,000, let's call it 20,000 miles, we find ourselves in that highest bracket, the highest $60,000 bracket for these vehicles. $69,000 for a 26,000 mile here. We got 69, almost 70 for 220, mid 20s here, and the numbers just keep climbing, right? And I think once we get into that mid and definitely the lower than 20,000 miles or right at 20,000 miles, we start to see some very consistent pricing in the 2018 model, right? That now we're in the low range, low 70s range, And that's going to be the trend that I think we're going to see, honestly, for the rest of the summer. Okay. You know, one exception to make on that is that, you know, you're going to see an anomaly, right? That's going to happen a few times this summer. And that's what I was calling out last week is that, you know, the more we understand what to expect, the more we will be able to spot an anomaly or an unusual event, or an unusual offering or opportunity that hits the market. And I think my game plan is to make sure that you guys have a little bit more information around what to expect so that when you do see that anomaly, you know exactly what you're looking at. Okay. All right, let's talk about the 2019s, family, and let's talk about what it is that you're going to get, because I've got quite a few questions around, is it worth it to purchase a 2019 over a 2018? Now, I've went directly to the Lexus press room to get this information, and as a part of the description, I'm going to put the links to all of the years, so you guys will have, you know, you'll have this information I'm going to cover, which is going to be a little more high level, but you'll also have all the exact information to go do some additional research, or review of the research, right? I've tried my best to kind of compile everything for you so it's a little easier for you to access it. So what's new for the 2019? So we get reprogrammed shift logic for the 10-speed automatic transmission. We get range of adaptive variable suspension, so that you get a little bit more enhanced ride comfort. We get enhanced steering, modified engine, rear engine mounts. We get Apple CarPlay compatible, which this is also on the 2018s as well, but 19s came with it without any work from the factory or the dealership. If you've got a 2018 model and you do not have Apple CarPlay, you can absolutely go get that, and it costs roughly about $200. But my 2018 didn't have Apple CarPlay on it, which is very interesting, but the owner never sought after it. And so guess what? I called a couple dealers here in the Atlanta area, and, you know, a few of them were willing to charge me $200. I kind of talked to them about, you know, I'm looking for a dealership to partner with, and I would greatly appreciate, you know, a free upgrade to the Apple CarPlay. Out of the four that I asked, I ended up finding one that was willing to do that. And guess what? I'm partnering with them on the maintenance for the vehicle. And I think that's a pretty good trade-off. Wanted to share that approach or that strategy with you all. So if you happen to purchase an 18, doesn't have it in there, maybe, you know, use that approach when you're talking to the dealerships, and maybe they'll get that upgraded for free. Okay, it also has Amazon Alexa integration. It's got the Lexus Inform remote, which is the smartwatch, and Amazon Alexa skill integration. I think that's pretty cool. I've seen the brochures where, you know, we have the you know, the watch, and you can start your car and all that stuff. I'm going to actually look into that a little bit more and see if that's also backward compatible to the 18s. It's got the Lexus Inform dynamic navigation, the dynamic voice command, and the Lexus Inform Wi-Fi. The only other change is we saw Obsidian, which is a darker black exterior, added to the lineup. Okay. And with that being said, guys, I want to showcase a little bit closer what we talked about in the intro. So we've got this 2019 here, which is, there's a few 2019s on the market, but they actually are a bit more expensive than this one. This one's coming in at $76,121. It's got 26,000 miles on it. Nightfall mica, we talked about that. The black Alcantara interior. This one's certified, 0 accidents, 3 previous owners. You know, I really like this car, especially if you just listen to all of those upgrades. And by upgrades, I just want to mention that those are all standard features now in the 2019, over the 2018, all standard. Okay. Some of those might have been available in 2018, but now they're standard. So if you're looking at all those features and you're like, man, I really want to take advantage of those, you know, this 2019 is very much an opportunity for you. Okay. All right, let's take a look back and see how we're looking on any of the rest of the marketplace here. Okay, so family, you know, again, those 2018s are going to keep on climbing and get even more expensive than that 2019 that we saw. You know, most of them are indicative of some really outrageously low mileage here. So you're almost getting a brand new car, a brand new 2018 that is, for those higher than mid 70s price points. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, we've got a couple 2020s that have hit the marketplace, and quite a bit more than I'm used to. And maybe it's the lease season is up on the 2020s. That sounds about right, right? It's 2023. Those leases are traditionally about 3 years. So maybe we'll start to see more 2022s invade the market space. But here we have three of them I'm looking at, right? And you can see these are coming all in at the higher bracket, the higher 70 band, $70,000 band here. And they've all got some relatively low miles on them, okay? But there's a couple offerings in each color combination. Most of those that are offered by the Lexus dealership are obviously going to be certified. Let's talk a bit about what you can anticipate from a 2021 model. So the interior upgrades is that we now include the check fuel cap indicator. So if you guys recall, Lexus has been, you know, widely known for having a check engine light display if you do not tighten that cap. And so in 2020, they actually updated that to your cluster to where if the fuel cap is not tight enough, now you'll get an indication, right? They also, from a safety perspective, the blind spot monitor and side mirrors are now standard, okay? And they added a new color. So the flare yellow, 2020 was the first year that we saw the flare yellow, okay? In the Inspiration Edition, we only got 100 of those, so you saw that again, okay? And then from enhancements, we saw a new exterior color called Nori Green, only available on Inspiration Series. We received a new bespoke saddle tan interior, and we saw that interior on a Nori Green a couple weeks back, and I tell you what, it's a gorgeous combination, all right? We also got in the 2020s a premium leather wrapped heated steering wheel. Now, you got that same option in the 2018s, 2019s as well. But I think this one you get a premium leather versus their traditional leather. You also got the L aniline leather front seats with a new Lux rear seats, okay, in place of the semi-aniline. So I've got to do a little research and figure out what the L aniline is versus the semi-aniline. Maybe the L is full leather or more leather. We'll have to see what that is, okay? And then we got a unique Inspiration stainless steel cuff plates that came with those. We got a card key in addition to 2 key fobs. And then we got navigation and color heads-up display that now become included, okay? Whereas I've got that in my 2018 option. I'm sure several of you all who have the 2018s, 2019s, you may have it in yours as well, but it was not standard. That was a build spec, okay? So, you know, here's a beautiful offering. You know, we've been looking at it for a few moments here, team, but we got a beautiful 2020. This is that, this may be that obsidian black. This one's the performance package. We can see it because of the rear spoiler back here. It looks extremely clean. This one's being offered from Lexus, is certified. Looks like the rear, looks like this one's got tinted windows actually. Actually, maybe not. Maybe what's been done here is the backs have been tinted beyond, you know, legal, and they've just tinted the fronts here at a lesser percentage, because those still do look slightly tinted, okay? All right, let's take a look at the 2021s. So, you know, the 2021s have been, you know, on my radar, and I told you guys last week the reason for that, right? Interestingly enough, the marketplace is more 2021s and 2018s than any other year model, okay? While we're talking about the 2021s, you know, this week we didn't see any price movement in our lowest price 2021 on the market. This is a private seller, 24,000 miles, coming in at 79,000, and that's the cheapest 2021 on the marketplace today. So haven't seen any change in that. Okay, what we have seen a little bit of change in, however, is that we've got this offering here for 81,000. We've seen a few $1,000, actually just $1,000 reduction on this 2021 option here. One of the things to call out though about these 21s is that what I've noticed is when we talk about the packages, the touring package, the sport package, the performance package, a lot of those safety features and a lot of those upgrades, with the exception of the limited slip differential and carbon bits and stuff like that, what I've noticed is that by the time you get to 2021, a lot of those are now kind of baked into even the touring package. So when we look at a touring package like this one here, I think what we don't get is we don't get some of those visual aesthetics, but you absolutely get majority of all the behind the scene safety features and entertainment features and things of that nature. Okay, let's talk about the 2021s for a moment if we can. So on the 2021s, a few things that we're going to get is that this was the absolute first year that we saw the convertible brought to the market. So prior to 2021, the hardtop option and the hybrid option are the only two options that you can purchase this vehicle in. 2021 now brings the first convertible. We also see that circuit red interior that we talk about all the time. And that is, for those of you who are not as familiar with it, in the 18s up to 2020, you had the black interior, the toasted caramel, and you had the Rioja red, which is almost like a Merlot or a darker burgundy color, okay? In 2021, you get this brighter circuit red that absolutely looks nice. Interestingly enough, though, they actually kept some of the Rioja inspired materials the same color, and then the things that got changed to the brighter red are the door inserts and the seats. Okay, so some people have communicated that they don't like the two different tone reds in the same cabin, and I think that's something that you absolutely have to take a look at the next time we showcase it on the channel. One other thing I'll mention about that is that it looks like in the 2024 they've got a new red that they're bringing, and now it seems as though maybe they've heard some of those comments and concerns, and they're actually unifying that new red color across all the materials in the 2024. So I'll be excited to see how that looks. Okay, what else did you get? You got the 2021 LC500 Inspiration Series. Again, only 100 of those, right? They had unique serialized badge included on those. You got carbon fiber rear spoiler inspired by air racing. Now, that was still, again, an option, an upgrade option in some of the previous ones. You get an included carbon fiber roof, 21-inch black forged wheels. Now, interestingly enough, this is an aha for me because I didn't know that Lexus was actually doing the blacked out wheels. I thought that anytime you saw that on a vehicle, somebody had went and partnered with an aftermarket shop to powder coat those. But look, I'm learning something tonight myself about this vehicle. So in 2021, it looks like they offered it in black. And so maybe you're getting that directly from the dealer. And here's a perfect example of it right here, where we actually see these, and they could very well be black directly from the dealer as opposed to an aftermarket version of these. So that's nice. What else do we get? We get performance enhanced with limited slip differential, rear performance rod with damper. Now that rear performance rod with damper might be new, but obviously we know well, I take that back. They enhanced the limited slip differential because that was available in the sports package as early as the 18 model. Okay, and you get a unique black Alcantara trim sports seats with saddle tan accents, and that's that one that we talked about that's only in the Nori green. Okay, so there's a few things about the 2021. All right, and then last but not least is the 2022. We're not going to cover the 23 tonight. or the 24. We'll leave those for another episode. But on the 2022, we actually start to see the dynamic handling enhancements based on the Lexus driving signature. We also get 21-inch forged alloy wheels added to the sports package. So we'll talk about the difference between the forged aluminum and forged at a later date. You also get the first ever LC500 bespoke build. So in 2022, you're going to start seeing those options have some different variations when it comes to color builds, because now if you purchased or built yours instead of waiting for it to get built and delivered to a dealership and just presented and sold as is, you could now customize the vehicles interior and exterior based on almost any of the options that you saw on Inspiration Series prior to this. And so it gave individuals the same feel that we get from some other high-end makers like Lamborghini, Ferrari, when they offer their candidates an opportunity to personalize and build the spec the car out exactly to their liking. Okay. All right. And then we obviously get a starter MSRP, and I think that's probably, you know, across the board. Every single year, family, we get, you know, increased pricing, which when you look at the 2024 now, just to kind of take things from 2022 to 24, that price point now is up to $98,000. So it's up $5,000 from 22 to 24. Okay. All right, family, we have covered quite a bit of the options and what you can expect from one year to the next. Want to thank you guys for joining us tonight, right? And I want to let you know too that I'm going to have those official Lexus press releases for each of the years that we spoke about this evening in the description. So if you want all the details, that's where you'll find them. And you'll find a lot more with some great pictures to highlight some of those special colors, interior and exterior, that Lexus offered in those year models. So everyone, I want you to have a tremendous weekend. I love you all so much. Can't wait to see you back next week for our next episode. Godspeed.